Hello, I'm Chrissy Seaton and welcome to my channel. I want to continue on and talk to you about how we, the women that attended the Noahide conference in Australia, Melbourne, how we felt and the collective feelings and atmosphere that really affected us as women. And it was, for me, as it would have been for each of the lady delegates there, there would have been different things and different times that touched the heart of each individual woman. And each of them will be would have taken home a special piece that will stay with them forever. So I want to just talk a little bit about how perhaps things unfolded and the joy of just having a group of Noahide women together. So what each of us contributed, we don't know. What we received, we certainly know that. Each of us received something. And what is our takeaway message? And for each of us, that will be an individual thing. So what is individual to us is about what we unknowingly probably came there in our mind with some sort of a question or a quandary or whatever, and then we shouldn't underestimate what Hashem can do when a collection of women come together. There's always surprises, there's always answers, there's always inspiration and comfort. So it is special. And for us as women to be gathered there, it was wonderful, truly wonderful. So I ask myself now, well, in terms of how we proceed from here, what each of us will have an individual marking point, an individual thought pattern, but I can only speak about how it affected me, and possibly I have gleaned also from the conversation we've had as that group of women, a sort of a collective impression of what we would all walk away with. We would have shared thoughts and there would be individual thoughts. So each of us will grow, there's no doubt about it, in our faith from being together as a group of Noahide women under the same roof, sharing the same meal table, staying in the same venue, meeting each day to learn and to grow, and also not only that, but to nurture each other in our individual journeys. So we're going to take away a very strong, comforting, collective message from that. And, from that as Noahide women joined together at this conference. Now, some of the women hadn't even known each other before and or ever met in any way, and others had been meeting online and conferencing through Zoom meetings and things like that. But for us all to be physically there together, to be able to sit in the same room and share questions and answers and give opinions, it was just, I could have just sat back and listened and not uttered a word, because I learnt so much. There were things that comforted me, things that prompted me and reminded me or challenged me, but it was all good value for me as a woman. There were many highlights of us being together as a group of women, too many to mention. But one of the great highlights for me was that each morning from 9:30 to 10 when we gathered in the synagogue, the women would have prayer and the men prayer in another room, half an hour of prayer. And we did, and I think I mentioned in an earlier video about, we termed it the square of prayer, the women's prayer square. And so we sat and we just quietly contemplated our own prayers and thoughts, and then we would bring that to a close by saying a collective audible prayer each morning that would be relevant to whatever was going on, and or a topic or something like that. So, but it was relevant to our conference. We were asking to have open ears and, be guided by the correct path and be bolstered in our faith, etc. So, but we would have that personal prayer and contemplation, and then end it with a communal prayer, the women's prayer. Now, I'm going to come back to this business of prayer shortly, but I want to just continue on and get these other things mentioned, because lest I forget them. But of course, when you get a group of women together, there is always opportunities to do unexpected things. We're very good at that. Shopping. Not that we spend a lot of time shopping, but we were very regimented in the things we did as a group. Of course, women are very good at that as well. And one of the wonderful things was that a lovely Jewish lady was able to put us in touch and arrange for us to visit it was a little shop in a house, really, where this lady sold those beautiful modesty shells and things, shell tops. Most of you know what I'm talking about. You can't buy a proper shell top online or anything unless it's from another country. So this lady that owned the shop was so gracious, so kind and helpful to us, and we all descended on her as ladies, and of course we all bought some shell tops because that's what we wanted. And we'll keep ordering from her now. We can just ring her and place an order. So she was just a delightful lady, so happy and helpful. So that was that. Lots of girl talk, do you think it fits? Do I need a bigger size? We're buying shell tops, but women, there's certain rituals we have to go through when we shop. Now, the next, and collectively and individually, we all were visiting Gold's bookshop in Melbourne. Now that is just that's a paradise. It's a paradise for Jews and Noahides. And of course, the people in the shop were so kind and so good to us and helpful, and they had a great sense of humour. They dealt with us admirably. And I think one of the assistants said, we've been overwhelmed with a gaggle of Noahides. And I thought that was a fairly good description. I have to thank them, though, for their wonderful attention and advice they gave us. They couldn't have been more helpful. So that was, many of us went backwards and forwards, and get home, you think, back to your hotel, you think, no, I wish I'd got that book now. I'll go back tomorrow and get that book. Then you go back tomorrow and get the book, but you also see another book. No, I won't get that. And then the next day, what do? No, I'm going back to get that book. It's kind of a ritual we feel we must put ourselves through. It's part of the buying process. And the other thing I want to mention, which was a huge, huge gift for us, was that our entire conference and our classes, etc., were held in a synagogue in Melbourne. So for some of us, that was just lovely. It was a beautiful, serene atmosphere. where sometimes in the background, very lowly, you could hear the men praying downstairs. Other times there was silence, etc. But it was just an atmosphere of peace and harmony and holiness. You felt uplifted. You felt like there was incentive to pray for no reason other than just to pray. So it was really an atmosphere, I think, of years of learning contained in its walls and the various rooms. And that inspired and uplifted and gave me a great deal of contentment. And I think I share that. Most others would have felt the same. And I must say, everyone at the synagogue, and there were people coming and going all the time, they couldn't have been kinder or nicer or more helpful to us. And you know, let's face it, a bunch of Noahides descending on an Orthodox synagogue, it'd be a bit of a culture shock for some people, but they dealt with us admirably and made us feel extremely welcome. So that was just wonderful. Now, I want to come back to this point of women in prayer, and I don't feel I can explain it enough. I have to keep repeating it, that women's prayers are extremely powerful. And this was discussed at the conference as well. So knowing that the heartfelt prayers of the women, and especially a woman in tears, they reach Hashem, they reach the heavens, they reach Hashem before the collective prayers of 100 holy men. Now, I'll just say that. The heartfelt prayers of one woman, one girl, one female, the heartfelt prayers of a woman reach the heavens, reach Hashem before a collective a group of men all saying the same prayer, 100 men praying. So ours go straight through and up to Hashem. So I just think you need to think about that, women, and tell your daughters, granddaughters, grandmothers should be responsible for that your heartfelt prayer will jump ahead of 100 holy men that are praying. That's something, isn't it? So we should never underestimate the powers of our prayers as women. Never underestimate. It doesn't matter whether we're a married woman or a single lady or a young girl, but you know, we know that our prayers will reach heaven. And you think about that. 100 men can be praying with devout concentration, and our heartfelt, please God, please Hashem, whatever we're blubbering out will just surpass that and go straight ahead. Now let me tell you something, ladies. That's power. That's power that we should appreciate and take advantage of. That's the power we want, not the, how shall I say, fashion label shoes or the position we have at the office or our executive, you know, climb to the top. That's not power. Your prayer as a woman, scooting ahead of a group of men, that is divine power. That is power we have from the divine. And I think each and every female should think very clearly about that. That's the kind of power I want. It's the kind of power I want for my granddaughter and her children, her daughters, to come when she has a family. So you start telling the females in your life how powerful their prayers are. That's one of the best things you can do. I'll do another video or so about some updates about the conference of general interest, but I just wanted to do this one especially about our involvement as women and our takeaway messages, etc. Please take care and God bless.